Hello and welcome to Martech Advisor's Executive Interview Series. I'm Ginger Conlon, a contributing editor to Martech Advisor. And joining us today is Amit Bivas, who is Head of Marketing at Optimove. Welcome, Amit.
For having me. Hi, how's everything going, Ginger?
Great. We're so glad to have you here to talk about trends and opportunities with marketing automation, especially on the customer retention side, which is a favorite topic of mine. So, Amit, let's briefly introduce Optimove and tell what makes it unique to kick us off.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for having me today. I'm more than honored to be with you. Optimove is a science-first customer marketing hub. And what it does, it helps brands communicate with emotional intelligence with their customers. So the idea is to maximize customer value by creating very meaningful and emotional intelligent communications with them.
Oh, I love that. That's so important to understand your customers and interact with them in that way. So let's talk about marketing automation and customer retention and how that emotional intelligence aspect fits in. So if you think about it, when it comes to marketing budget, there seems to be a never-ending battle between acquisition and retention, right? Both are essential, but retention efforts can really lead to added benefits like maximizing spend and increasing lifetime value. So how can marketers get the most from their retention efforts today? What's some advice you have?
So that's a really good question. We all know, we're all familiar with research from Bain and Company from ages ago that the smallest increase in customer retention can bring to huge increases in profit. I think the number is 25 to 75%. Um, I think that it's just not intuitive to invest in retention because who's gonna invest in an existing asset that they have, right? It's just not intuitive. Um, with that being said, we all know that today the entrance barriers are very low into the digital market. So if you want to if you want to be a retailer and enter the market, it's fairly easy. And then what this leads to is the very first competition in that space. And when it comes to competition, so in the age of Amazon, where you can find anything there, you do need to justify your existence. And one of the main ways to justify that existence is having a very unique standpoint or a very different or standing out brand. And the way I see it, and the way our customers see it, the way to create, or one of the ways to create that differentiation is fostering those types of conversations that are meaningful and that are in context that it's even like almost an intimate type of conversations with the customers. The problem is doing that at scale. And that's where technology comes into play. But I think that it's just for most brands, it's not intuitive to invest in existing customers. However, we do see that it's a game changer once you decide to invest in it strategically.
Right. Absolutely. And it's interesting that you said that technology can help because I mean, obviously, but that reminds me of how much of a hot topic AI has become, and I think part of it is for that reason. It can really help you do that personalization at scale. So where can marketers use it today in their analytics, their segmentation and personalization efforts?
So, if you think, probably if you search Google Trends for AI, I think in the past year it's booming. Interesting to say, it's a term that exists, I think, since the late '90s, and back then it was a big no-no to say that because it was like it used to relate to the Terminator type of the movie, so people would fear it, and then I don't know, something happened in the last year or two where it became a huge buzzword. The thing with buzzwords is that sometimes they're overused. So I think that today it's overused, but let me try to sort out the big hype around it, and I think that today, if I'm looking at it from an analytics standpoint, so AI can help marketers because there's just too much data out there. And today you must need to know how to curate, and over analysis leads to paralysis and all that stuff. So I think that AI could just help you better understand what's relevant, what's less relevant, and where to drill down into. So find that instead of getting lost in that mess, it'll just help you find the valuable points, and where to drill down into. And from another standpoint, let's look at segmentation and personalization. So the idea is, so Rome wasn't built in one day, right? So when a marketer starts addressing different segments, usually they won't start with hundreds of segments and all that stuff. They start with a few segments. And then the idea is to try to understand and fit the best message to that segment, or the best type of communication with that segment. AI can help doing that at scale. So help understand exactly which subgroups exist within each segment, and which communication would work best per each subsegment. Am I making sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that generally it is a big buzzword, but in marketing terms, it's an enabler. It helps doing the marketer's job much more easily, understanding which data is insightful, and take those insights and translate them into actions, and how to further segment and treat your segments better and more accurately.
Right. So it sounds like it's important to kind of get past the shiny object syndrome and look at what it actually means in marketing and what it can do for you in terms of better understanding and reaching out to your customers.
100%.
Yeah, excellent. So, another hot topic in marketing is customer experience, and I feel like that's quite the buzzword as well. Um, but I also feel like marketers can use marketing automation to positively impact the customer experience, even from the point where customers are still prospects. So, what's some advice you have in terms of using marketing automation to make a positive impact on the customer experience?
I think that's a really big question. As you said, CX, customer experience, is a another big buzzword. I think that in terms of marketing automation impacting the customer experience, so more than anything, it's creating a unified communication across multiple channels, right? So everyone's talking about that big problem today, that customers are omni-channel. They're everywhere. And I think that if a brand is able to communicate, to engage a unified conversation across multiple channels, that's a huge advantage. And obviously, technology is the key enabler here. I think that also another very important aspect is the speed. Customers change very quickly, and marketers must move at the speed of their customers. So in that sense, they have to be agile, and obviously technology is an enabler for that agility. And I think that more than anything, it's minimizing the time frame between ideation to execution. Usually, a marketer thinks about a campaign; it takes him, I don't know, him or her, sorry, a week or two to execute. So we're trying to minimize that gap, because once it's smaller, marketers are much more agile, and they are able to move at the speed of their customers. And obviously, technology, automation technology, is key for that.
Yeah.
Um, Generally speaking, I think that there are a lot of challenges in using marketing automation. Um, but then again, if a marketer embraces change, and they're able to to adopt new technologies and do it successfully, um, they definitely a good marketing technology is an enabler. So choose the right technology and make sure to embrace change.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that you said was that marketing automation has its challenges, as does any type of technology. But since you are an expert in marketing technology, what's some advice you could share on what's one challenge that you see coming up maybe a little bit too often in terms of using marketing automation, and how can marketers overcome that challenge?
think my background is industrial engineering, and somehow I find myself in marketing. But as an industrial engineer, what we do is streamline processes and optimize them. And I think that when you take like a new technology and implement it in an organization, the number one, the 101 is that usually you have to embrace change in order to successfully adopt a technology. So I think that successful adoption, first of all, embracing change and understanding that yes, this new technology is here to make my life easier and my job and enable me to do my job better is the first stage. And usually, especially with a lot of AI, people fear of losing their jobs. People fear from a lot of a lot of different things that this technology would do to them. And once you're able to make the point where this technology is here to help you do your job better, then that's exactly the game changer. Because most of the integration projects fail on adoption. People don't believe in the technology, don't embrace change, don't want to take it, and then it fails. Another thing that I also want to address here is that um, Rome wasn't built in a day, and I already said this, but I think that people sometimes expect when they take on a new technology, it's going to be a miracle. It's going to generate miracles. It's not like that. Change starts from small steps, and it's an iterative process. So start small. Don't expect miracles. Work hard, and the technology will work for you. It's not marketers and technologies or people in technology work together for a greater meaning. So just understand, that relationship between yourself and the technology, and I think that that's pretty much. It's like a very 30,000 feet statement, but I think that taking that paradigm shift would help utilize technology for your benefit.
That's such great advice. I mean, you think about back, I don't know, 10, even 15 years ago when CRM technology was the hot topic and all the buzz, and too many people thought that they could kind of flip the switch and all of a sudden their customer relationships and their sales processes would be perfect and improved. And that's just like you said, it's not how it works. You've got to have your strategy first, and then baby steps, start with one use case and then add and add as you get your successes. So great advice. So speaking of processes, one of the great things about marketing automation is that it can bring all kinds of efficiencies to marketing processes. So what opportunities do you see in terms of marketers using technology to improve maybe some specific processes, perhaps blending art and science more effectively, and as a result, increase their performance?
That's a great question, and I'll try to address this from two different angles. One angle is, and I touched this point, is shortening ideation to execution. Marketers have to move at the speed of their customers, and once the process from ideation to execution is minimized, you're able to be so much more creative. You're able to offer your customers such a much better experience. It's we're talking about orders of magnitude. If we're talking about initiating campaigns in a few hours, so think about how much more agile and quick the marketers are, or that brand is. So that's one point. Another point, which takes me to end of the 90s, which that end of the 1990s was where digital marketing was born. Right, email was presented for the first time as something that the people started using, and then email marketing started, and the whole era of digital marketing started to ramp up. Up until that point, a marketer was a Don Draper, right? A creative freak. They use that right hand side of their brain much more than the left hand side. And then at some point, when digital was presented, so the definition of the marketer or of the role of the marketer shifted towards an Albert Einstein, right? And marketers are expected to be somehow scientists or artists, like hipster scientists, God knows what. And that's some kind of a domination that doesn't necessarily work. And I think that streamlining that process of ideation to execution helps the marketer become a Don Draper again, which that's where they're naturally, that the natural marketer is a Don Draper. It's a creative freak. Let the technology take care of the science, and the marketer be able to shine with his creativity. So I think that processes processes that are streamlined correctly and that shorten ideation to execution enable the marketer to flourish from the right side of his brain, which they're probably more talented in using.
I love that. That's excellent. Thank you. So let's wrap up with a look forward. What's coming that you're excited about in two areas? One is there a trend or a tool that's coming out that you're really excited about? And on the other side, anything within Optimove, any new features or upgrades we should know about?
Future prophecy is always something nice to deal with. I think that what we're seeing mostly now, and we already spoke about this earlier, is that more and more companies or more and more brands are understanding the importance of investing in retention and customer marketing and CRM. It's not intuitive because why would you invest in your existing assets? They're already there. They're already generating revenues. So why would you invest in them? But more and more brands are understanding why this is so important. And I think that in terms of the future, it's just we're going to see more and more budgets taken from acquisition or the acquisition and retention ratio will balance out. So the competition is fierce. More and more brands are out there. Amazon and Apple and Google are swallowing all the small fish, and then the brands that will exist this big World War III, if you will be the ones that are able to be unique and create meaningful interactions with their customers. And with an emphasis on their customers, we're talking about technologies that will be able to create those type of communications. That's from the market standpoint. From Optimove, we're definitely going that way. That's our belief on how the market will look moving forward, and that's what we're going towards. And I think that more than anything, in terms of Optimove, we look at fostering those emotionally intelligent communications with customers, but the focus of on the customer is something that's debatable, and the definition of customer is something debatable. When does a customer start to be a customer? So when does CRM even start? And our future plans, without or our future our releases, without being too specific, because this is still undercover in a sense, or still under the radar, is redefining the term customer. When does a customer start being a customer, and when do you start treating him with your CRM strategies?
Oh, I like that. Now I'm very, my interest is piqued to see how you're going to define or redefine customer coming up. So, Amit, thank you so much for all the great information and insight and advice. And I want to thank everyone who joined us on the video today and say that Amit and I had another great conversation about the skills that you need to succeed in marketing today. So be sure to check out that video and also check out Martech Advisor's YouTube channel for more executive interviews. And thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Ginger.